Welcome back to Jedi Enclave. I am Daniel.
I'm Chris.
And this is the Jedi Enclave presents the Now This Is Podcasting podcast, our weekly show about Star Wars, the MCU, other things that excite us, and all the things happening in those universes, as well as, I don't know, it just depends on what we're into on any given day. Like today, we're talking about Invincible, a random thing that
and Gen V, which had the season finale.
A bunch of shit we don't, we generally we're generally into.
Because there's just not enough Star Wars to talk about all the time, every time.
There's not, unfortunately. Like we're in a weird doldrum between.
I think the next thing is Acolyte.
Yeah, because they pushed the Star Wars Outlaws release, which isn't even something necessarily we talk about a whole bunch anyway. It's just something I would like live stream, So yeah, there is some Star Wars Acolyte news kind of, where seems to be a bit of a crisis at Marvel Studio we're going to talk about. Star Wars Theory this week is defending his King Crybaby title.
Okay.
We're going to talk about that a little bit. We're bringing an old segment, but a prestigious segment called the Mike Zero Lie of the Week.
Allegedly.
Yeah.
We're allegedly bringing it back.
Yeah. I can confirm we are.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I can confirm definitively that will be on our show today. Loki season 2 had its penultimate episode, which was a lot of fun. It was really good. We're going to talk about that. Gen V had its season finale.
Yes.
Which was fantastic. And I loved it a whole bunch. We're going to talk about that.
We laughed. We cried. We almost
went,
vomited.
Oh!
Yeah.
That's what I do a lot when I watch that show. Invincible season 2 premiered this week. We're going to talk about that, which is also a thing that I'm glad I discovered that show.
I'm sure we're going to go into it more, but oh God, I got faked out.
Oh, I know.
In like the first 10 minutes.
Yeah, John and I watched it together and I was like, whoa, what? Because we had just watched a recap on New Rockstars. And then that happened and I was like,
wait a minute.
This makes sense. I'm also glad that they recapped in the same video. I actually recapped the Adam Eve
little featurette thing.
Yeah, because I started watching that on Amazon. Or I didn't watch it on Amazon. I got it from somewhere else. But and it wasn't because it was boring, because it's actually really good. I was just very tired when I started watching it, and I fell asleep like 10 minutes into it, and I never went back to watch it. So if you're looking for any of those specific things, the time codes will be in the description of this video when you go to watch our podcast when it drops. Which, by the way, now we're
assuming you're in the future from our perspective, but the present from your perspective, which would make us in the past from your perspective.
Wibbly wobbly, timey-wimey stuff.
Hey, we're talking about Loki. I'm allowed to do time shit.
Yeah, especially time shit that is different than the established MCU time shit.
Yeah.
And it all works out anyway because it's like in a place that's outside of time.
Where there is no time.
Yeah. It's the whole thing is very weird. But you can go check out time codes in the description. And while I'm talking about other things, Connor at the Star Wars Hub and Star Wars Veritas, friend of ours, also a good supporter of our work, and we are we love him a lot. We thank him a lot. So go check out his stuff on Facebook. And while you're here, since you're just throwing the love around, if you could like this video,
like, comment, subscribe, share. Yeah. I don't know. Send carrier pigeons to your grandma about us.
Smoke signals.
Yeah.
We're on Discord as well. The link to that is in the description of this video. After this, we'll be doing Battlefront 2 with our friends from Gremlin Squad. Yeah.
And then tomorrow, Sunday, is Gungans and Dragons
at 7. Yeah. And like Battlefront after this, we'll probably continue some part of the conversation we're having today. I'm hoping we get through everything.
Okay, that's
also
all boring shit.
Hold on.
I'm sorry. There's more boring shit.
Yeah, we are live, so we're just kind of. So if you say something in the chat in between segments, I'll try to read everyone's chats. For example, and this isn't. Turn the volume up.
Oh, is the volume too low?
This will be easy for me to fix. Actually, this will not affect our official podcast that goes out because I'm recording that on a different thing. Let me know how the audio is. I'll make sure to hopefully take this out of the podcast cut. Yeah. I probably won't, because last time we had something, I was like, I'll just cut this out, and I definitely didn't, because I got there and I was like, that would be like 4 clicks. And
I could cut this, but it's way too much work. It's not too much work.
Yeah. Detect. What a twist. Star Wars Theory didn't go away after all. Oh yeah, we're gonna get to that whole thing. Actually, it's been a funny thing. I try not to. I don't love talking about people like. We'll get there when we get there. Yeah. I don't want to. I don't want to, blow our load too early.
Let's talk about Star Wars.
Yeah, Star Wars Acolyte. This isn't like super heavy news or anything. It's just like this is the only Star Wars news that's happening this week, which is we got to look at the writers for the season. And Leslie Headland is who's also the showrunner, and the director for some of the episodes is writing episode 1.
Which makes sense. Yeah. Like if you're running a show, you presumably have a good idea for how you want to set it up. So you write the pilot.
Yes. Jason McAuliffe, Charmaine DeGrate, Jasmine Flournoy, I think. She'll never see this. It's fine. Eileen Shim, Claire Kletchell. These are really weird names. And Cora Donna. Oh my gosh.
So some of these writers are from House of the Dragon.
I know, and I have them. I have them in my notes that they are, and I noticed that they don't have any. This is pretty different from like a lot of the live action Disney Plus Star Wars shows that we've seen. In that, like Dave Filoni and some of those other like I don't think like Taika Waititi isn't involved. Which who knows what the fuck he's doing nowadays anyway. But like I don't recognize any of these writers as people who have worked on Star Wars a whole bunch before,
which is kind of exciting.
It is exciting, and I love to see House of the Dragon writers on here because that does not mean automatically that they're injecting any of that DNA into the show. However, it would be kind of nice if they did, because that is some serious drama. And we're going to talk about this a little bit later, but we found out that a Marvel show that's coming up will be the first in the franchise that's rated TV MA. And it's like, if you're willing to do that for Marvel, perhaps maybe you should do that for Star Wars, because I can think of a couple of topics at least that would make for a really great TV MA. Like, it doesn't have to be pornographic or anything. It doesn't have to be Game of Thrones, titties and all that other shit. Like a serious dramatic thing. It would be really nice. I don't think that this is going to be, I don't think Acolyte's going to be, in fact, they might never do the Star Wars TV MA or the like R-rated thing. But I wouldn't be mad if they dropped a little bit of House of the Dragon into Star Wars, because it would make it a lot better.
I'm trying really hard to make a Luke and Leia joke for this, but I probably shouldn't.
Well, you just did, though, didn't you? That is actually a really good point.
I don't think they're going to do anything like that. Seems a bridge too far for Star Wars.
Well, it just seemed like I was about to say, well, no, those are Game of Thrones writers, but then no, there's a lot of incest in House of the Dragon too. Anywhere Targaryens are, it's lots of incest. There's a writer from Mr. Robot on there as well as Cameron Squires, who did some WandaVision, which is the other MCU show that I've really enjoyed. So if you don't remember, this is set 100 years before Star Wars: Phantom Menace. There is a leaked trailer out there that you can watch. They've not released it yet, which really sucks. But you can find it. It's out there in the ether.
It's from some D23 or other.
Yeah, and it looks real. Even with the blurry footage and all that other shit, it looks really cool. Carrie-Anne Moss is in it, fucking doing some serious Matrix bullshit, and it looks a lot of fun. Lots of lightsabers, which is like, you want to sell me on a show? But a lot of lightsabers.
Show me some lightsabers,
and this is coming sometime in 2024.
I think it's early next year.
Yeah, I think it was supposed to be the end of 2023, and then they're like, that's not going to happen. So who knows when we'll get it? And apparently, the second season reportedly is already being planned, which the last time we heard anything about that was Andor, which gives me high hopes here because Andor fucking rocked. Yeah, they generally have a pretty good idea for when they have something people are going to like a whole bunch, and they start investing money in the continuation of it. So I have high hopes for this. I think it could be really cool.
Speaking of things people liked a lot.
Yes.
Ahsoka.
Oh yeah.
So Ahsoka season 1 wrapped up. Just gonna put some spoilers out there. If you haven't watched Ahsoka season 1, I'm very sorry. So it ends with Ahsoka and Sabine being in a galaxy even farther away than the galaxy far, far away. And with Thrawn coming back to fuck up the galaxy far, far away.
Yeah.
So that's a state of affairs that is kind of a cliffhanger. So it may not surprise you that there are already rumors that Ahsoka season 2 is a go.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so this comes from some dude on Twitter called My Time to Shine Hello, which I swear is his real username. Their real username, I suppose. Apparently they have a track record for being, not completely full of shit.
Yeah.
So,
which, by the way, that's not necessarily a reason to believe.
Yes.
Like you can say 10 things, 9 of them could be true, and then 1 of them could still be false. Mm-hmm. So like take it with a grain of salt, because
past results do not guarantee future performance, or whatever the fucking fiduciary line is.
Yeah. This would not be a big surprise. Mm-hmm. Because of how like Ahsoka.
It was really good. Yeah, people really liked it.
People generally liked Ahsoka. The problem that I see with it is I'm not sure if they ever planned a season 2. I think what the plan was you leave it hanging, just like you left the other stuff hanging, mm-hmm. and then you tie everything else into Dave Filoni's film that's coming up.
Maybe they always plan for a season 2. I think to lead into the film.
It is absolutely possible. I think what is just as likely is that they're like, oh, they actually liked this one. Let's see if we can extract a little bit more wealth out of this and make a second season mm-hmm. before we do.
That is classic Hollywood thinking.
Yeah. So, Joe says, what's up, guys?
Hello.
I loved Ahsoka. Loved seeing Annie. Oh, as I said, anti again. I was like, I don't know what the fuck that is. No, yeah, I think that's one of the reasons that people were like, they hit the nostalgia buttons pretty hard. Yeah. And it's
like they had an entire episode based around Anakin kind of poking Ahsoka with a stick. I mean, you want to go dark side?
It would not have surprised me if at the beginning of that episode, Dave Filoni just walks out with his hat and it was like, we're about to emotionally manipulate you. You've been warned. And it's like, which isn't a bad thing. Yeah. Like it was, I think people, there's a certain amount of that kind of thing that people like. So, and they did it. They also, they had a bunch of fan service, obviously. The thing that I always say is that when your plot hangs on the fan service, it's already failed. Yeah. Like it's not robust enough to hang a plot on. When you have fan service, but you also have a plot that is robust enough to exist on its own, with the whole Thrawn thing in the other galaxy and the witches with the balls and all that other shit, like, it makes for a good story.
So I'm afraid that's all the Star Wars.
Yeah, that's all we have for Star Wars. Yeah, I'm sorry.
We can talk about some MCU stuff.
So Echo had a trailer, and
yes,
look, before I saw this trailer, yesterday, I would have said the same thing I said about Andor when I heard it. They're doing it, which was
okay.
I don't care about that character. Yeah. Ended up Andor was probably my favorite, maybe second favorite Disney Plus season / show. And so Hawkeye came out a while ago. It was a Christmas event.
Yes.
And it was fine.
Yeah, it was fun.
It wasn't like Secret Invasion, which was kind of shitty, or
but you didn't hit super high highs or super low lows, but it was fun.
It was fine. And mostly because I like Jeremy Renner and
and Kate Bishop.
Yeah.
She was great.
They introduced a character in that show called Echo, who is a deaf Native American with one leg. Mm-hmm. And then they introduced Kingpin, which everyone was like, oh my god. Yeah, it's Kingpin.
Because it's not just Kingpin, it's the Kingpin from the Netflix Daredevil show that everyone loved.
Yeah, the guy from
Vincent, for whatever his name
D'Onofrio. It's whatever that big show he was in also. So anyway, they were like, oh yeah, we're going to make a show about Echo. And I was like, okay,
fine.
I liked her. It's cool that you had you're representing deaf characters. Mm-hmm. That's a good representation to have. And we don't see enough Native American characters either. Mm-hmm. Or at least Native Americans who aren't just played by Hispanics, which is a really common thing they do in Hollywood. It's kind of gross. But I was like, she wasn't the main part of that show. And while she was cool, I wasn't like, oh my gosh, what's going on with her? Mm-hmm. And then I saw the trailer and I was like, okay, still, I just don't know if I care about this. And then like, oh yeah, this motherfucker is going to be rated TV MA. And I was like, excuse me?
Not only that, but the trailer has Kingpin beating a man to within an inch of his life,
like he does. Yeah, like you would expect for him to do.
And the whole thing is just ominous Kingpin monologuing.
Yeah, in that like real gravel like thing he does. Like some dude gets shot in the head, fucking brains blood.
Yeah,
I was like, if they're gonna make this an adult show, this is also apparently a part of a new brand that they're doing in Marvel called Marvel Spotlight.
Okay.
Which I was reading about this, and it's, what did I say in my notes? It's for more grounded, character-driven stories that aren't necessarily focused on the MCU at large, like what's happening. Like they probably won't name drop Thanos a bunch, or like they won't have Doctor Strange come in and be like, "Oh, hey guys, magic," and then leave.
Yeah.
Like it's kind of a self-contained kind of a thing, and I assume it's maybe geared more toward adults.
This sounds to me like an extension of the Netflix Marvel shows, because those had their audience, and and
that audience is very loyal.
Yeah.
I never got into the Netflix Marvel stuff, but I know people who were like balls deep in it, and they absolutely love it, which is why they brought in Charlie Cox's Daredevil and everything.
In one of the best scenes. God, I'm still remembering his walk of shame. And
She-Hulk. Yeah.
She-Hulk.
Oh, yeah. I won't even go there, but I don't know. They've got me interested now, where they're like, this is going to be rated mature, and like it might be more adult. And I was like, all right, I was going to watch it anyway. We're going to talk about this here in a second. Marvel hasn't been putting out its best work.
Yeah. So I guess just my last thought on Echo. The only reason I have for concern is that they're dropping the entire season at once.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Oh, I didn't catch that.
The entire season comes out in sometime in January.
Yeah.
And that could mean that they think they have a stinker and they just want to get it out of the way.
Out of the way, yeah. Yeah, it really kind of, the quality has been kind of swinging from high to low with the MCU.
Yeah.
So much that it's kind of hard to tell.
So let's talk about that, actually.
Let's talk about that, and then we'll get to the other.
There's a big feature in Variety, which is a Hollywood industry magazine, about how the MCU is not doing super well lately.
Yeah.
For a myriad of reasons, which in no particular order. First, Jonathan Majors.
Yeah.
They have built like the next, 3, 4, 5 years of the MCU around the character Jonathan Majors plays. And there's a very, he's about to have his days in court.
He was the next Thanos.
Yeah. And there's a very good chance that he could end up going to prison, or at the very least being revealed as the sort of human trash that you don't want being the face of your franchise.
Yeah. And we've mentioned this the last few times talking about Loki season 2, because he is a fantastic actor. And it really, I was talking to John about this the other day, and I think we've probably talked about it as well. It's kind of like how I love Kevin Spacey's acting, right? Like House of Cards, it's so fucking good. He's in a movie called The Negotiator with Sam Jackson from like the 90s, which I love so much. He's so good. And it's like, you just had to go and start molesting boys, didn't you son of a bitch? If we could have one fucking knock it out of the park actor who can just not expose themselves to children or go and rape someone or beat someone up,
or just be incredibly transphobic on Twitter.
Yeah. It's like if you could just be a normal human being, and just give a good performance, so let me enjoy it, for fuck's sake, please. Because that was my thought process through all of Loki. Every time there's a Victor Timely scene, I'm like, God damn it, he's so good. And it's not enough. Like, his talent as an actor is not enough to get him out of that, right? It's not a pass. No. And it's not like, oh, he's a really good actor, so we're going to look the other way, which I think Disney is trying to do.
Yeah.
I think they're like, we'll see how everyone responds to him and see how popular it is.
We'll see how the trial goes. Maybe it'll all just blow over.
Yeah. And if it does, then we don't give a fuck what he did. And we can just keep him in it. And that's also really gross. And fuck you, Disney, for doing that. So,
But the hits don't stop there, because
there's a bunch of shit in this article.
Yeah. So The Marvels is the next major Marvel movie. It's coming out next week, actually.
Yep. I'll be seeing it on Thursday, I think.
This has been delayed twice and has had extensive reshoots, which is not the best sign for any movie.
Yeah. Also, it doesn't look great. And I'm saying this, I know people love to froth at the mouth about Brie Larson and like it just, I don't give a fuck. I love Brie Larson as an actor. And Captain Marvel's one of my top 5 MCU heroes, I think. This movie doesn't look good, really. Like it.
You mean visually? Or?
Yeah. It looks crunchy and weird. I don't know anything about. Also, it's scattershot all over the place. There's this one thing about how they might be bringing in the X-Men that kind of makes sense, because they did a TV spot where they dropped a couple hints in, and it you're like, that actually makes sense. And then another TV spot where there's a new Thanos dialogue, where it's like, what is this movie about?
So, okay, two things from the Variety article to bring up there. First, Marvel's visual effects people have been so overworked for so long. They voted to unionize in September, which, first of all, fantastic.
Good for them.
Second of all, really drives home just how much fuckery Marvel has inflicted on their VFX people.
Yeah.
Because when every single one of your movies and a bunch of your TV shows rely on extensive CG just to get a character to look the way they're supposed to.
Yeah.
Even when they're just, standing there talking, let alone moving and doing all the superhero shit.
Yeah.
There's so much work that goes into these things.
There's something to be said about this. When you see crunchy, weird VFX,
it's not because the VFX people want it to look that way.
Yeah, you don't like those artists they're brilliant people who, if given enough time, could make an Avatar Avatar the Way of Water quality thing, right?
Problem is they're never given enough time.
They're like, we need Captain Marvel to glow binary, and she needs to go headbutt a ship,
and you have 5 minutes to do it.
We need it. We need it in 3 minutes, and the VFX artist is like, I guess we'll use some After Effects, and
I guess I don't get to see my family for the next 5 months,
and they don't have enough time to make it amazing. So they're forced to cut corners,
make it
stuff.
Work, and
which, by the way, if you want to know more about this, and a lot of people know about this YouTube channel. It's a very famous YouTube channel called Corridor Crew, which is staffed by VFX artists, and they do a lot of VFX artist react videos to bad and good, and they talk about the craft a lot. They all really love that craft, and they talk about this too, where those guys could make something stunning if you didn't literally just treat them like trash and give them more than 5 minutes to do something.
And the other side to what you were talking about, the scatter shot, too many things being in this, the writing has not been fantastic for a lot of MCU stuff. And that
Secret Invasion is a good example of that.
That could at least partially be placed at the feet of Kevin Feige, who's supposed to be in charge of this whole thing. And they mention in the article, one insider source at Marvel's interview, and they say his great strength is being able to pull everything together at the last minute, in post-production, and make everything make sense. Which is not the best way to do things.
Yeah, it's hard to really get a read on that anyway, because Kevin Feige has had some amazing stuff that he can rightfully claim credit for.
The entire build up to Endgame was phenomenal.
Yeah, most of it was. Thor: The Dark World, we could have done without that.
Okay,
but it's just it's hard to tell. It's hard to tell any one specific thing. I know the people generally are like, "Oh, Kevin Feige is at the top of this. Maybe it's his fault." I think that Marvel probably has a systemic problem that kind of comes from, how do we make as much content for as little money as we possibly can? And that's the first concern. It's we don't care if we're creating art or anything. We need pounds and pounds and pounds of content, and it needs to cost us nothing to make it.
Yeah. It reads to me like a lot of this boils down to the same issues Star Wars was having for a while, where, they were putting out a movie every year and trying to fill everything else with Disney Plus
People
shows.
were fatigued with it. It's
and right around the time Solo: A Star Wars Story came out and bombed, they're like, okay, we need to push the brakes a little bit. let's slow down. Let's try to make things that are actually good and see how that does.
And then some things they made that, were, I don't know.
And they had some misses since then, but they've at least like recognized the problem.
Yeah.
Right. And I don't know that Marvel has hit that point yet.
I think they might think that they're invulnerable, or at least maybe they used to think they're invulnerable for it, because Marvel was Disney's money printing machine. Like that shit made so much money.
Didn't Infinity Wars and then, Infinity War and then Endgame both like set the record for most highest grossing movie ever?
I don't think I think Endgame did. They did an extra run in theaters so it could beat the first Avatar.
Right. Yeah.
And then they held that title for a while, and then they did, or was it Titanic? I think it was Titanic.
Yeah.
And then so they did a theatrical run of Titanic so they could get it back, which like that whole thing aside, that's goofy as fuck. But like, yeah, I mean, Endgame, Infinity War and Endgame were both a cultural phenomenon that people were crazy about.
They mentioned in the article, I think the statistic is 32 movies that collectively made a total of like $30 billion.
Yeah.
Which is insane to think about.
That's so much money. Captain Marvel right after Endgame made $1 billion just on its own, which is why I'm really kind of bummed about the Marvels looking like it might actually kind of be bad. Which I'm going to go watch it. I'm going to give, I mean, like I said, I love Captain Marvel. Like, if anyone's going to give it the chance it deserves, it's going to be me. So if I walk away from that movie being like, oh, that sucked. Yeah, it really sucked. Right. Yeah. And that's why I was kind of upset, because like, people love to shit on Brie Larson and Captain Marvel, but that movie made $1 billion. Like, people did not dislike the movie. Yeah. And
on a larger scale than just the people complaining on the internet.
Right. So, and I think in this also in the variety thing they were talking about, there were some problems with Blade. Yeah. Marshall Ali was having some problems with it and maybe was going to quit at one point.
Their lead was unhappy. I believe it was writing and multiple rounds of trying to rewrite to find the plot.
I don't know. I hope they get their shit better, or their shit together. When I see the stuff about Marvel Spotlight, this new thing we're doing, it's kind of like, they're just throwing shit at the wall to see what people respond to, and then they'll go from there. And it's like, if you could just focus on maybe spending a little bit more money on it and just making it good, like just committing yourself to the quality of it, not the quantity of it, maybe it'll be better, Maybe. But hey, I don't work in Hollywood, so what the fuck do I know? Okay, so we got to talk about this. I hate talking about Star Wars Theory and Mike Zero, mostly because neither of us want this channel to be a knee-jerk reaction, where we spend our entire time just talking about these two guys or whatever. And the other thing is, like, they're both such low-hanging fruit that it feels a little bit like walking into a daycare and punching a toddler in the face and then patting yourself on the back for winning a fight. But here we are. And so our first thing here is about Star Wars Theory.
Oh God.
And he's like trying real hard. Star Wars Theory is a master at being a victim. Like, the dude, it is an art. He should write a book. It's insane, like how he can just pivot and become the victim in literally any situation. And he is, of course, everyone kind of knows he's a crybaby. It's just kind of what it is. He did a video 2 days ago called "I'm Done Here."
Okay.
And
assuming he was telling the truth, good.
Yeah, we'll get there. It's like this 12-minute scatter shot, right? It's like, the videos of the guys with the Oakley wraparound sunglasses in the cab of their truck screaming about woke and all this other shit. It's a lot like that.
God.
And I, by the way, refuse to watch it because I'm not going to.
Because you have self-respect.
Yeah, and I'm not gonna give them the ad revenue for it. I know it's a minuscule amount of money, but I refuse to.
It's the principle.
I know someone that I respect and I trust quite a bit that watched it and did a bullet point for me, because I'm just like, I'm not. And also I have this thing where, like, his voice
Okay. Yeah. Fair.
Just like, someone like you go through life and you're like a pretty agreeable guy, but then there's like that one guy where like, I would punch you in the face if it was acceptable to do. So anyway, this is like rant about a bunch of shit or having a bigger budget than Obi-Wan and how that's a slap. Everything is a slap in the face to fans, and it's all Kathleen Kennedy's fault. And how like Obi-Wan was like supposed to be the most important show ever, which I like. I mean, I think his argument was that because of Obi-Wan, the only thing that matters to him are pre-Disney properties. So like to him, that's like the most important thing.
Right.
He loves to tell other people what Star Wars is, which I think is really interesting because I don't think he knows what the fuck it is.
I don't think he owns Star Wars.
Yeah. Oh, really? Because I think I have a theory. It's a Star Wars theory.
It's a Star Wars theory, but not a Star Wars theory.
Yeah. It's a theory about Star Wars theory.
Okay.
I think that all of this Disney hate started. He did the shitty Vader fan film, and Disney was like, "You can't make money on this. Sorry, like you don't own it. You don't own Star Wars." And he was pivots, victim card, Kathleen Kennedy chopped my dick off, killed my dog, and Disney's evil.
Yes,
and I think that's when it started.
It would make sense.
Yeah. So he was talking about how like Dave Filoni and Jon Favreau should do all the TV shows, which I think it's always funny, like in this like weird group of Star Wars fans where like they really treat Dave Filoni like the savior of Star Wars. And then they realize that Dave Filoni is the liberal snowflake cuck that they all hate.
Yeah.
And then they're like, oh, fuck Dave Filoni.
And then like a month later, they're back on Dave Filoni is saving Star Wars.
Yeah. It's just
the mental dissonance there.
Yeah. Also, it's such simplistic thinking where they have to have a boogeyman, which is always going to be Kathleen Kennedy. And there has to be a savior, which is always going to be Dave Filoni. They don't know what either of them do or anything, but it's like, it's like tribe. It's the same thing in politics. Yeah. It just, and interestingly enough, the majority of people who buy into the shit are on one end of the political spectrum. I thought this was interesting. He said that Last Jedi was a good movie, but not a good Star Wars movie, which I think might be a good way for him to lampshade the fact that a lot of people remember when Last Jedi came out, he put a video out that was like, this movie is so good. And then like realized that like other people are getting more attention by not saying that. And like it disappeared. And all of a sudden Last Jedi sucks. And then he's big mad that they're making a Rey movie because...
Of course. Because God forbid women appear in anything.
Yeah. And then this is apparently a quote. I'm the only one talking about what is actually supposed to be Star Wars now. And to that I say, fuck you. You don't own Star Wars. You are not the ultimate Star Wars fan. You don't love Star Wars more than anyone else. Look, Disney owns the IP. I get that. But we all collectively own Star Wars. You don't get a bigger stake because you're on YouTube. You don't get to tell people what is Star Wars, what's not Star Wars. Because from what I've seen, his fucking Andor is not Star Wars and all this other bullshit, which is some of the best Star Wars we've ever seen. You don't know what the fuck you're talking about. And I don't care how many years you've been on YouTube doing your fucking, I'm going to make a video where I fucking summarize a Wikipedia page and everyone's, or do a like, oh, what if Qui-Gon stuck a thing up his ass and then this thing happened? It's like that was all fun and games and shit until you started being an asshole. And you're not the ultimate Star Wars fan. You don't get to tell people what is Star Wars and what isn't Star Wars. Go kick yourself in the dick. We'll all be happier for it. Now, his video title, which was what?
I'm done here?
Yeah, I'm done here. 2 days ago. 1 day ago, another video about Ahsoka season 2.
Of course.
Had a video today about Star Wars. So of course he's not actually done.
Yes.
I happened to go through and look at some of his dude gets a lot of views, by the way.
Of course.
And he's got a lot of people on YouTube who love to come over to one of our videos about him and just like simp for him all fucking day, which is fine because I promptly ignore them. But his viewership hasn't been great, and then this video came out and he had like double the views. I was like, okay, so we know why you're doing
so in another 6 months he's going to do this all over.
So yeah,
I feel like the big difference between us and the Star Wars theories and the Mike Zeros of the world is that we're not reliant on any of this for money.
Yeah.
Like I
do it because I love Star Wars.
Yeah, we do this because we have fun.
Yeah. And what was I going to say? Oh yeah. I thought about doing this just to prove a theory, but then I would lose, I think, some self-respect. Mm-hmm. I thought about doing a video a la Mike Zero Star Wars theory where I bitch about woke and Kathleen Kennedy makes my dick feel small and that makes me big mad and all this other bullshit. Just to prove that like that shit would get a lot of views. And then I would be like, but then I would know I did that.
Yeah.
And then I wouldn't have any self-respect. And and I've seen people have made this argument before, like all the Star Wars theory and Mike Zero simps out there. We're like, oh, you're just mad at his success and everything.
Not really.
No, I'm not at all. First of all, I have a job that makes plenty of money. My partner has a job that makes plenty of money. Mm-hmm. I love what I do. This is just for fun. It's because I love Star Wars. And if I only have 3 viewers for the rest of my life, at least saying shit that isn't the worst shit in the world and just being a huge shitbag of a person, I will be living a happier life. At the end of the day, Star Wars theory, you got to know that you went and bitched about shit that you knew wasn't a big deal just to fucking whore yourself out for money. You're the one that has to look in the mirror every night. So
at least we're telling the truth.
Yeah.
Like, at least we're being honest about ourselves and what we believe.
Yeah. Oh, speaking of dishonesty.
Oh, good.
It's time for our extremely prestigious, very hard to attain, fucking put it on your business card award called the Mike Zero Lie of the Week Award. Now,
I'm excited now.
We've done this like 3 times, I think. Mm-hmm. 2 of them, I think I gave to Mike Zero. And this one goes to Mike Zero as well.
Thereby proving that the award was well named, allegedly.
The one other guy we gave it to saw the video, apologized for the post that he made and deleted it.
Oh, good.
And I was like,
that's how you should respond.
Yeah, that's a really to be able to admit that you were wrong and be like, yeah, this wasn't a true thing. And he also was like, yeah, I knew this wasn't true, but figure that people would engage with it. And
again, at least you're fucking honest about it.
Guess who does not have the ability to do that?
Mike Zero.
Mike Zero. Because in the world of whoring yourself on YouTube, Mike Zero is possibly the whoriest whore in the world, allegedly. So to put this into perspective, why he's winning this award.
Okay.
We got to talk about the now infamous South Park episode called Joining the Pandaverse.
Okay.
Now, anyone my age knows South Park pretty well because that was the shit I wasn't allowed to watch in middle school.
Yep.
That my buddy Joe and I would go and watch anyway. And because it was dirty and foul-mouthed. It has turned out to be this entire time, and I've appreciated this more as an adult, that South Park does satire so well. They're so good at it. And one of the reasons is that they make fun of everyone.
They do the same thing The Boys does. Yeah. They're not afraid to take aim at anything.
Yeah, which, by the way, the people that are responsible for that show are super, super liberal. And I appreciate that they can pick out the shit that doesn't make sense everywhere and just shit all over it and make it fun, like genuinely funny. And so this episode featured a lot of really funny shit. It nailed Disney for their obvious what's a good word, their obvious MO of put a gay person in it and maybe we'll get a few more dollars out of that. And not really caring about the issues at all because they carefully market test everything. And they're like, a majority of people like this thing, so we'll put in a token in this thing, and hopefully a couple more people will come out and see the movie, right? Which is terrible. Yeah. Like, it's shitty. It's kind of like, in Rise of Skywalker, they're like, okay, Americans, you get a lesbian kiss because that polls better than a gay kiss. Otherwise, if it polled better, we would have had fucking Poe Dameron and Finn rocking around in bed together, which I would have been all for. But they're like, straight men in the 18 to 30 demographic are more comfortable with lesbians because that's the porn they watch.
And meanwhile in China, no lesbian kiss.
Yeah.
Because that shit is illegal.
They don't like that in China, so we're taking it out entirely. So we have to make it 2 minutes, like 2 seconds long, so it can be easily cut out. And there, we gave you a fucking bone. There we go.
There you go.
And do they care about the fact that that's represented? No. It's a market demographic that's going to make them money, right? So, and that's all that. And they fucking nail them for it, and it's hilarious. It is so funny, and it's really nice to see people like Bob Iger fucking nailed for shit like this, and people like Kathleen Kennedy, by the way, who also, make this happen. They also make fun of the people whose entire identity is hung around hating Kathleen Kennedy and like The Last Jedi. And what's really funny is that these people that they're making fun of don't realize that they're the joke. It's like the same people think that Homelander is like the hero of The Boys, right? Like they just don't get it.
Because he's the Superman, right?
And Mike Zero is one of these guys that doesn't realize he's the guy that's getting made fun of. And so there's all this discourse after this episode came out. A fucking hilarious episode. You should watch it. And people like Gina Carano took to the artist formerly known as Twitter and went on this. It's Gina Carano, so everything is a conspiracy theory. Mm-hmm. Like, and Kathleen Kennedy is going to have her shadow army on social media come and get me and all this. Yeah. And fucking Jewish space lasers trimmed my pubic hair and I didn't realize it. Yeah. And all this other bullshit. Mm-hmm. And then people like Mike Zero coming out just like, they're finally nailing Kathleen Kennedy. It's like, you are the joke. You are the people they're making fun of. Like, you just don't get it. He's getting the Mike Zero Live of the Week award, though. However, by knowingly lying and claiming that Kathleen Kennedy is going to take there are sources, and the sources are just trust me, bro. Mm-hmm. That Kathleen Kennedy is taking legal action against South Park. That she's suing because of her portrayal in South Park. A couple things about this. First of all,
why would she care?
Kathleen Kennedy hasn't seen it. And if she has, she's only seen like the important parts of it.
Like the thing is, when you're rich enough, you're at the point where you don't need to care about what people say. Yeah, now, some rich people do. Some rich people actually will drag you to court if you say even the slightest mean thing about them. But most rich people just don't give a shit.
Yeah.
Because they have money. They have fuck you money, the purpose of which is to say, fuck you, I don't care.
She's close. She's got to be getting close to her retirement. Yeah, as well. Which, by the way, she'll retire and everyone will be like,
she's fired.
They finally fired her.
Retired.
Yeah. She eventually is going to retire. She is most likely just filthy rich from all the shit that she's produced and everything. And I guarantee you, she didn't give a single shit about this, right?
If she's aware of it at all, she probably laughed at it.
Yeah,
honestly.
What's really funny is Cartman plays Kathleen Kennedy in the episode. It is the funniest shit in the world. Which, by the way, like the criticisms they made of Kathleen Kennedy and Bob Iger and Disney, valid criticisms. Like, stop making a product where you're just trying to sell it to the most people possible, and you might have a better product. It's like the MCU thing we're just talking about. But she's not suing anyone. First of all, because she doesn't give a fuck. She's rich. She does not give a shit. She lives in a bigger house than you.
So her dick is probably bigger than yours.
Yeah. Why the fuck would she care, right? Mm-hmm. The other thing, you know how many people have tried to sue South Park over shit like this? So many people. Guess how many people have won?
0.
None of them. Because the South Park is like at the beginning of the episode is like, look, this is satire. We're just shitting on everything. We're just having fun. Yeah. And that's perfectly covered under the First Amendment.
Yep.
And she understands that. The lawyers at Disney understand that. No one would ever bring charges like this against something that's so clearly covered by the First Amendment. And also, her suing South Park would be a huge PR disaster for Disney because it would paint her as someone who has a really thin skin, who would get... I just keep thinking of a particular politician that would sue over this if he had the money and wasn't cash poor to do it.
And also embroiled in multiple legal issues across multiple states and federal cases.
Yeah. Yeah. So no, Kathleen Kennedy is she's not suing South Park. she doesn't care. She probably didn't laugh because it is a pretty ugly portrayal of her. So if she saw it, she probably didn't laugh. It probably did hurt her feelings, but good, because they were valid criticisms. But Mike Zero, you are the joke, my friend. Not my friend. Fuck you. You're not my friend. You're the joke. You don't get it, which is so much more embarrassing. And it's one of those things where I see you put videos out like this where I'm just like, that is the cringest bullshit I've ever seen. Fuck you.
But congratulations on the live of the week.
You get it in the mail.
Yeah.
Let's move on to some things that I really want to talk about for real.
So let's see. There are episodes.
We have 15 minutes, so we're going to do like what?
5 minutes on each?
Yeah. That's good. We can do that. That's fine.
Let's start with Gen V.
Okay.
So Gen V had its season finale.
Yeah. Spoilers for all three of these. We're going to be talking about Gen V, Loki, and Invincible.
Yes.
If you've not seen those, like the most recent versions of any of those, going someone. So we did that original. We did those ultimate recaps like a long time ago.
And then people got in the comments and were mad that we.
Did you see that?
No, I don't think I did. I think you told me about it.
Oh, okay. So I did tell you about it then. Yeah, someone was like, "Oh, you spoiled the prequels, blah 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 blah," and it's like, "Oh,
bro,
yeah, it's probably
the prequels are 20 years old. What are you doing?"
It's probably Mike Zero.
Anyway,
just being a troll, allegedly.
So Gen V happened. I was completely wrong. Shetty's actually fucking dead.
Yeah, because you brought up that theory.
Well, and I started just that, like the last time we see Kate and Shetty, like they're crying and like, "Oh, I love you so much," and then the next time we see them, Kate has her fucking slit her own throat.
Yeah,
and it's like
you brought up some things that I was like, wait a second, I wonder if I can make this work. And there were still some other issues with the theory that I hadn't fully subscribed to it yet. But I was like, this is not the most implausible thing. Like Shetty could, maybe it's a part of a grand,
it's a 5-dimensional chess, But no, Shetty's fucking dead.
Yeah.
Kate and Sam are like, all right, we're going to go bust everyone out of the woods. Have fun. Yeah. And Marie's like, maybe you shouldn't do that. And Jordan's like, I'm going to stop you. And Kate's like, do you really think you can stop Sam?
Yeah.
Sam's like, I would love to beat your ass.
Yeah,
and Jordan's like, okay.
I would love to turn you into a puppet in my brain and tear you apart.
Yes.
Or fuck you, depending on who you are. Yeah. Looking at you, who's the little one? Emma, yeah. So that group is like, okay, well, we have to go stop them, I guess.
Yeah.
But also maybe free people in the woods, because that is the right thing to do.
Yeah, but also like we should let them, go commit genocide against the humans. That would be bad.
There's a whole part of this that just feels like Sam has been red pilled.
Yes, that's exactly the point.
Yeah,
like Sam has been radicalized.
Yeah, and it's just like, oh, this would be funny if this didn't actually happen in real life for shitty reasons. And there's a warning at the top of this episode about violence on a school campus.
Yes, there is so much. Holy shit.
Yeah, and it upsets me that we live in a world where like the same thing happened in Obi-Wan, where they showed the Order 66 episode, and they do the same thing in the Book of Boba Fett.
I do appreciate that Amazon is at least putting these warnings up, saying, hey, there's some really this entire show has been fucked up, but there's some really fucked up shit specifically on this topic in this episode. If you're not cool with that, just to go watch something else.
Yeah, it's nice to have the warning, but I hate that I live in a world where they're like, oh, some really terrible shit in real life has happened on school campuses, so we better let everyone know ahead of time. It just it makes me feel gross and I hate it. But that being said, the whole thing is just fucking Sam and the psychic chick and a bunch of mutants from the woods killing every non-soup they can find. Yep. The first guy out the fucking door walks up to the first guy who's the rapey dude.
You soup?
Yeah. And he's the worst guy in the world. It's like, fuck you, get out of my face. Of course I'm a soup. Suck my dick if I had one. And he's like, I'll let you live.
All right, fine.
Yeah, you're okay.
This adjunct professor, like, are you a soup? He's like, no, I'm a professor. I was like, fuck you, and rips her brain out.
Yeah, or no, melts her face off.
I'm sorry. Melts her face.
That's the one that gets melted.
That's right. Yeah. Sam rips someone's brain out.
There is so much gore. In this, like they go all the way out. There are some pretty good cameos in this one too. The person who's like now in charge of Vought, who is an assistant in like season 1. Yeah, she's like all the way to the top now. She's the one who's
like fucking ripping her hair out because from stress.
Yeah, I love her, by the way. She's really funny. She and the director dude are like hooking up.
Yeah,
Joss Whedon, the analog guy. So she's in it, and what's really funny is that it's like they realize that the people in the woods are out killing everyone, and they just start calling people on.
So she's there with a bunch of other Vought people, like trying to find someone for the 7, and like the breakout happens. They're like, okay, everybody grab one of these people we were just talking about, call them, tell them to save our asses, and they'll get in the 7.
I think she's the one that calls Marie, and it's like, congratulations, you're being considered for the 7,
but only if we survive.
Yeah.
So can you like kill Kate for us?
Yeah.
Thanks.
It might sound like I'm panicked, but I'm not. I just wanted to let you know we're watching and grading you. Like, this could be your big break.
Yeah.
You're welcome for the opportunity. Hang up the phone. And she's like, what? No, I don't think so.
So just to kind of skip forward, because we got a lot to talk about.
Yeah.
So this kind of comes to a head when Kate is like reaching to touch Jordan to corrupt their mind, and Marie's like, no, don't do that, and fucking explodes Kate's arm.
Oh yeah, and then realizes, I can do that.
Yeah. Because she has the same power as Head Popper, AOC.
Which, by the way, how the way they ended this was kind of a big mindfuck.
Yeah, because right after that, fucking here comes Homelander, who just drops from the sky, and first Marie's like, oh good, he's here, he's gonna restore order, and Homelander's like, no, fuck you, I'm gonna laser beam you.
I like how unhinged he looks.
Yeah,
like he probably just came from, I don't know, like someone telling him he might have to stand trial somewhere or something.
Yeah.
He just lands, he's like, oh my God, I can't keep doing this. I guess I'll kill everybody.
So there's an extra layer of grossness when you have Homelander, who's like not even coded, just a neo-Nazi at this point, who lands and tells Marie, what kind of animal are you?
Yeah. It's
like neo-Nazi telling a black woman that she's an animal. That's really gross. And it's meant to be disturbing, I think.
They cut straight to a news report framing those 3 for the murders on campus and the psychic chickens.
Kate and Sam are the new guardians of Godolkin.
Yeah. And you think there for a second that they just killed the main characters. But it turns out they
wake up in this
hospital
asylum with prison cell with no doors.
Yeah. And so
we get a mid-credits scene
with Billy Butcher.
Yep, Billy Butcher walking around the dark abandoned woods.
You know that Carl Urban's like, is it time for me to say cunt yet? And they're like, yeah, you can say cunt. And he's like, oh hell yeah.
Yes. Like it was amazing. Like as soon as he sort of turned his head and I could see him in silhouette, I was like, that's Billy Butcher. I would recognize that haircut anywhere.
Yeah, and the boots, the big fucking boots and everything. They're almost certainly, I think there are rumors already that the second season is greenlit. They're almost certainly going to do a second season.
They're almost certainly going to cameo these characters in season 4 of The Boys, I think.
I would bet, yeah.
Because this was really like, okay, so out of 9 exploded penises, how would you rate this season?
9.
I'd call it like 8.5. Yeah, but it's really fucking good.
Yeah, I liked the story. And like the only problem I had with it, like the blood is, it purposefully looks a certain way. I watched a VFX thing about this where they didn't want the blood to look too real, and some of the VFX looks a little like it came out of like After Effects.
Yeah, sure.
But this is one of those things where like if the story is really good, that shit doesn't matter as much.
Like the writing is phenomenal.
Yeah.
The actors they got, I don't think there's a single actor in this show that was bad.
Yeah. Even the ones you like to hate. Yeah, like they're doing a really good job.
They're doing a fantastic job. Like even the one-off bit actually, like Jordan's parents in that one episode. Yeah, phenomenal.
Yeah,
like I have some little tiny plot quibbles, like the Kate Shetty thing in previous. They
might actually also develop that at some point, or maybe not. I think it'd be interesting to know if Marie puts together, because you know that everyone saw that congressional hearing where everyone's head started exploding, and she like remembers that and remembers what she can do, and she's like, oh my God, Victoria Newman did that.
My other big question going
forward. Which means she'd be like the only one other than Gustavo Fring who knows about her.
My other question going forward, do you think, I think Mallory is her name, the old woman, Butcher's old boss.
Yes.
Did she ever tell Butcher about the anti-soup virus, or was he just in the woods on his own?
I think that he was the one she was on the phone with. Because after that meeting, she picks up the phone out of her pocket and was like, "Did you catch that?"
Oh, okay.
Which it would be, it would track with her character because like, while she has that phone on in her pocket, she's like really bad mouthing Billy Butcher. She's like, oh, I know someone who is fucked up from all this, and he'll never get out of it. He's a fucking loser because of his vengeance and shit. And just being like, he's on the phone, I want him to hear this kind of a thing. So like that would make sense. So yeah, I have season 2.
Gen V, phenomenal. Yeah. If you haven't seen it, go watch it.
When is the 4th season of The Boys?
I have no idea. While you're looking that up, let's change gears. You want to talk about Loki or you want to talk about Invincible?
Let's do Loki.
Loki, okay. So Loki had episode 5 of 6. Previously, the TVA exploded. Loki is now time slipping again.
Yeah.
He's going to where all his friends are in their various timelines. And we finally get to see Owen Wilson on a jet ski. Like, oh my God.
I'm so happy for him.
Yeah.
Even though he's not even actually writing it.
Yeah.
He's just as happy.
He's just having the fucking time of his life.
Just sitting on it. Like he's like, put a fan in my face. I'm fine.
Like when he opens up his garage to show Loki his 2 jet skis, like he's fucking, this is a man
he's
who
been
has
found
his niche in life.
Yeah. And it's like, I feel so bad that like, he's got to be pulled away from that.
Yeah.
It's just that one shot. We finally get to see him on a jet ski. And my reaction really was, that's fucking great. Yeah. And also like, he also has kids. Like he's got a pair of twin boys, and
I don't know if they're twins, but
they are
2 boys.
The actors are twins. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
And I didn't think they could get me to like Owen Wilson, because I haven't liked him in the past. He kind of has always been kind of annoying to me. I love him in
this. This is the role he was born to play.
Yeah, it's so good.
This is very likely the high point of his career, which is sounds like a shitty thing to say, but I mean it as a compliment.
Yeah,
he does a phenomenal job.
I think he's a fan favorite too, so I think that he's probably being treated very well over it, which I really like. So pretty much Loki has to go, and
he's got to get the band together. He finds Ouroboros, who's this fucking
science fiction writer.
Yeah, science fiction writer who moonlights as a fucking Caltech professor.
Yeah.
And like Loki's like, all right, here's the book that you wrote. Can you make me a temp pad? He's like, yeah, I'll get right on that. And Loki time slips away. Next scene,
can't control it yet, by the way. So it's like one of the like the plot points in this is that he keeps uncontrollably time slipping, but strangely always time slips to a person he cares about or like knows, has a connection with. So like there's obviously some element of intentionality behind it, but like he can't control it.
My favorite part is like Ouroboros shows up with his gigantic fucking temp pad, and Loki's like, wow, you did that quickly. And he's like, actually it took me 19 months after I lost my job and my wife left me, and
Kathleen Kennedy killed my dog. Yeah.
So finally Loki ends up with Sylvie, and Sylvie's the only one who remembers him and what's going on.
Which is that just a Loki thing? Because everyone else didn't know who he was.
Maybe it's just an Asgardian thing. I don't know.
Yeah. She's just like, why the fuck would I know who you are? Like, why are you being so fucking weird?
We kissed. Of course I remember you. So they go to a bar, and Sylvie's like, okay, what are you trying to do here? Loki's like, I'm trying to save all of time. She's like, wrong. Tell me what you're actually doing here.
I love this.
And Loki goes through a couple permutations, eventually getting to, I just don't want to be alone anymore.
Yeah.
I want to hang out with my friends.
Tom Hiddleston, fucking A+ performance on this.
Definitely.
And this connects to a performance he has later on where he realizes, and this is such a huge character growth moment for Loki, that his not wanting to be alone isn't a reason to take people's lives away from them. And so he later on tells them, before having to take it back,
y'all gotta go home. Yeah. I'll figure something else out.
Right. Like it means more to me that you guys are doing what you're supposed to be doing, despite it really hurting, but like at least I know that this is like you're doing something that you like.
And then Sylvie is listening to a record in her wonderful 70s record shop, and like everything starts turning into time spaghetti, and she uses her temp pad to go to Loki and say, no, actually you're right, you need to get the band together and save all of time.
We have to do something. Which, by the way, I like how she like stands up, she looks around, there's spaghetti everywhere, she's like, oh fuck this. And then hits her time pad. So they have the theory is everyone's back together, since this combination of people only happens so often. They can use the temporal aura.
They were there when the loom exploded, so they can use this to go back to the loom, right? Even though they couldn't time travel there normally because there's no time at the TVA or something. There's a fly down here. Don't worry about it.
It's been down here for so long. Which one of my spiders would you do? Jesus.
So like this was not a very action heavy episode, but it was it was just actors getting to act.
Yep.
Really, really well.
And then pulling a moment from Infinity War. where everyone gets dusted.
Feel so good.
Yeah, it's literally that. Like,
and that, by the way, after everyone turns into spaghetti, that's when Loki realizes, hey, I can control time slipping by going to the people that I care about,
and kind of becomes a time god.
Yeah,
where he's just like, oh, I'm going to be epic about it too.
What if that's how this ends? He's not just the god of mischief; he's the god of time now.
Oh, that'd be interesting. I think it'd be really interesting to know that Loki was the one that originally made the TVA, and Victor Timely just like took credit for it or something.
Yeah, could be.
I think how this is going to end. Given that this big emotional thing they're going on with Loki, I think he gets back to Thor.
That's where I would go with.
I think
either Thor or Odin or both.
Thor. I think he loved Thor more than he loved Odin.
Mm-hmm.
Not to say that he didn't love Odin, but the two of them had such an obvious link to one another, where it wouldn't surprise me if he fixes everything, he puts people back where they belong. And then finds Thor and is like, I know the Loki you knew already learned this lesson, but I'm a different Loki.
Yeah.
And I learned this lesson a different way. And you are you're the thing that I go to.
Yeah.
Like, Mobius goes to his fucking jet skis. The hunter lady is a pediatrician. Mm-hmm. Casey is a prisoner at Azkaban. I know it's Alcatraz. Which, by the way, why?
I don't know.
What did he? I would really like to know what. He's a bank robber, I guess.
That's right. Because he's saying like, you can jump me into some portals and bank vaults.
Yeah,
right?
Like everyone's got their thing. I think he's going to send them back to, and I think he's going to find Thor and be like, "You're my thing. You're the thing that I'm supposed to."
And Thor being Thor is going to be like, "Oh, of course, come here, brother."
Right? Yeah, you're welcome.
Yeah,
for accepting you back. Yeah, and
Invincible
season finale is next week.
Yes,
I think it's going to be epic. I'm going to enjoy it. Invincible was a thing I forgot was coming up so fast.
I forgot too.
It's one of the best superhero stories I've seen.
I'm so glad it's back.
My two favorite superhero stories at the moment are the ones that are purposefully not superhero stories. They're like critiques, like The Boys, and Invincible, which is just a goofy parody of the DC.
It's like, how can things go wrong and then go even more wrong and then go even more wrong?
Yeah. What if Superman was a psychopathic conquering murderer? Mm-hmm. And he was voiced by J.K. Simmons.
And he had a son who increasingly terrible things happened to.
Yeah. So they had their season premiere.
Yes. They have a glorious fake out where the first 10 minutes are this alternate dimension where Omni-Man and Invincible have, teamed up to take over the Earth for the Viltrumite Empire.
Which contradicts how the last season ended. Yes.
And there's no context for any of this. You're just dropped in. You're like, okay, is this like a jump forward and we're like the season gonna be working back to how we got there?
That's what I thought first, and I was like, wait a second, this feels a little, because how everyone has their multiverse now. Mm-hmm. I was like, okay, so Invincible has their multiverse too, and it turns out that's what it is, and they've got their own like Victor Timely or Rick Sanchez. I
forget his name, but one thing I really like is so in the first season they would do these cold opens, and then Invincible, before they say the word Invincible, it cuts to the title screen. They do that like 5 times through the episode, and the character just says Invincible.
They finally do it in the post credits.
Yes.
John didn't understand why every time they did that, because they leave a pregnant pause where, and then I'm like,
are they gonna do it?
I'm like, what the fuck? And John's like, what the fuck is wrong with you? It's like, it's supposed to be a title card right there. And they do it like 4 times. That is really funny.
Yeah. So Mark is not doing so well.
Yeah. I mean,
like his dad beat him up and left and killed like 1 billion people before he did.
Yeah. It's I think understandably is having some issues with his identity. Mm-hmm. The fact that his dad's a monster. Mm-hmm. His mom's really depressed too, because she's
going full wine mom.
Yeah. And he's trying to prove to the world that he's not Omni-Man. Mm-hmm. And so at the end he decides to play nice.
Yep. He says tells Cedric, do whatever you tell me, dude. And Cedric at this point has the 2 blue guys who are trying to do science with the
Mahler twins.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, every time they say that, I think of Gustav Mahler, the composer.
You saying it just made that connection in my head. So finally Cedric is like,
imagine Gustav Mahler twins writing symphonies. Like, that would be pretty funny.
And arguing over which one is doing it wrong.
Yeah, or which one was the original Mahler. Yeah.
So he shows up, and portal guy pulls in like a dozen other Maulers and say, if I can stop him.
Yeah.
And then the Maulers start trying to kill him.
He's trying to do a Utopia thing.
He's like, I have all my variants from all the rest of the multiverse. I'm going to copy all their brains into mine. So I'll know everything and I can fix everything. Yeah. So the Maulers like first beat up Invincible, and then they start trying to kill him, and Brain Guy's like, no, don't stop, you weren't supposed to kill him. They're like, we're gonna kill him. He's like, okay, I'm gonna pull this helmet off and make a giant explosion.
We told you couldn't do that, because
he's like, I'm gonna do it.
I'm gonna do it.
And everything blows up.
Most of the Mauler variants are just disintegrated.
Yes. And then of course the superheroes show up and they're like, hey, we saved the day.
I think the one guy, or maybe so the guy now has everyone's memories, including the guy who's from the dimension where Invincible is working with Omni-Man and kills billions of people. So to him, Invincible is also the bad guy.
Yeah, he's not able to separate which of those memories are from alternate universes and which are real.
Right. So the season's off to a real strong start. I've enjoyed it a whole bunch.
But there's a lot of things, like they set up a lot of plot threads here.
It's kind of like the first season has a lot of shit going on too, like the Martians, and like I watched that recap. I was like, oh yeah, that weird thing happened. Yeah,
he fights that guy on the moon, and then they become friends.
Yeah, Seth Rogen, Seth Rogen's character. Yeah. So anyway, we're gonna switch over to Battlefront 2. We're probably gonna talk some more about Invincible and Loki and the other shit. So you can join us then. It'll be here in just a few minutes. So thank you for the chats. Thank you for joining us today. And we'll see you here in a few minutes for some video games.
Bye.